Hi, I'm Terry Wayne Sanders, filling in for Kelly James Barker for Spotlight on the Ozarks. This week, our special guest star is going to be Gosh Goof. Who? That's right, the one and only Gosh Goof. Stay tuned.
J.R.'s Western Store. Get a kick out of life. Well, I'm a city boy, but I was born to roam. It takes a pair of boots to make it feel at home. It gives me some personality, you know. Some says this is me. When you want to get a kick out of life, go to J.R.'s and do it right. At J.R.'s Western Store. Yeah, it's time you get a kick out of life.
Hi, I'm Terry Wayne Sanders on Spotlight on the Ozarks. Our guest this week, the amazing Gosh Goof.
Hi, Betty. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to have you on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Good, and you should be. You know what? I love this show because it's so much fun. We get to interview and talk to all sorts of people. We've had some characters on here that you and I are very familiar with.
Yes.
And the thing I like about that is we have such a history.
We do.
Now, a lot of people don't realize how it started because I've been in Branson now for 40 years. And I believe that's the first place I met you.
It was. Yeah, I grew
exciting.
up going to Branson. I came from, of course, Xena, Oklahoma, which is right in between Grove and Jay, Oklahoma.
Right.
My family would vacation in Branson, and I got to see you in a lot of your productions when I was growing up, which partially inspired me in a lot of my career.
A lot of fun, you know, and that's what I liked about it, too, because I grew up going to Branson from Mountain Grove, Missouri, and I saw these shows, I saw Silver Dollar City, all the things, and I even said the first time I went there, that's where I want to be.
Right.
And so by design, I'm there. Now, you say that you're from Oklahoma, but where do you live at now?
See, I live in Branson.
What a surprise. Are you married?
I am. My
Me
wife,
too.
Chloe, and I both live in Branson.
See, there you go. It's a great place to get married, have a good life, work the business that we do.
Right. There's not so many places where you can do what we love in such a wholesome, family-friendly environment.
Exactly
Branson really
right.
does offer that.
Oh, and I do. I love that about Branson. And it has afforded us, you and I both, to do the things that we love with real jobs, but also jobs on the side.
Right, right. Well, and, you know, growing up, I knew that I wanted to do the industry, even though my upbringing was so far from that.
Right.
I was raised on a cattle ranch in rural Oklahoma. My family had founded that in 1911, so it's been in my family for over 100 years.
Those are old cows.
Yes, they are. And so coming from that, you know, I always tell people my upbringing was the farthest cry from the silver screen or a stage.
Right.
And it's funny how far I came. But I grew up going to Branson. I saw you in Shepherd of the Hills and Silver Dollar City. And from an early age, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I think that it's really neat to, you know, start with a mentor like you, and then work and work and work, and then now we're working together on projects, and that is the coolest thing. I love that.
I do too,
Love
Josh,
that.
because I've seen you grow up, I've seen you blossom, I've seen you change, evolve. But now, although we do similar things, you know, we work at Silver Dollar City together, certain characters that we do are similar, things like that. But whenever you got into the business, you know, you saw what I did and all that, but I impersonate people. Of course, Joan Rivers, and Barney Fife, gotta have old Barney, you know. But now you found your niche with something more contemporary that worked for you and was a major success. Can you tell them about that?
Twilight saga. When the Twilight movies were really big, I decided I went to the premiere because I'd read the books way before they ever became a big deal. Nobody had heard of them at that time. I read the books, I was familiar with them, and then when the movie came out, I went to one of their premieres.
Oh my gosh.
And when I went to the film, I didn't really think anything of it. I mean, it was just like every other movie. I really enjoyed it, of course. But the weeks afterward, I would go to Walmart, I would go to different places, and people would stop me and they'd say, "Do you know you look like this vampire off of this movie?"
How funny.
And so, of course, you know, us actors, we got to capitalize off of that.
Hello.
So I started to dress like the character and portray that character at different Twilight events, and it started out very small and like local, you know, venues and things like that.
Was this your own doing that you just empowered yourself? I'm going to go over there dressed as this character, or did you call him up and say, "I do an impersonation and I want to appear there"?
See, and it's interesting. It started off with me just showing up. I would just go to these events, and the fans would go crazy. Well, the first time this happened, I went into a Walmart, and they were doing a big midnight DVD release.
Right.
And so when I was there, they saw me, and they saw all these fans taking pictures. Well, Walmart also wanted to capitalize off of the idea. So they pulled me in the back, and they said, if you'll just work the crowd, we'll give you the DVD for free. We'll give you everything for free if you will make this event for us. Perfect. So, of course, I just stepped right into character and really worked the event for them. They loved it. And that, I can honestly say, was probably my first professional paid acting gig. So, yeah, I love that. That career went on for 5 years. And I always thought that was neat because that was another area where our careers paralleled each other a little bit. Right. Because you were doing Joan and Barney, and then I ended up getting to do Edward for 5 years.
And not only did you do the Walmart store there locally, you traveled quite a bit through the United States doing this.
Yeah. After I started, I ended up getting contacted. It was a few years into the run by some people in Forks, Washington, where the books and movies are set.
Based, right.
They did an event every year, and it was called Stephanie Meyer Day. And in that event, they celebrated the films and the books, and sometimes they would bring in guests. Well, they had an official cast that played the Cullen family.
Okay.
And so they said, we know that you've played Edward for all this time, but we think that you could also do very well with the character of Jasper. I wasn't sure how that would go, but when the wig, the makeup, and everything else came into effect, I really ended up being able to play that character well.
Oh, that's great.
In fact, I became more known for that character, I think, than I did for Edward after a while, because he was from Texas, and they liked that pulling me from Oklahoma, I already had the accent. They didn't have to, try to teach someone how to do that. So I got to meet the author of the books. That ended up spawning a whole other section of my career where I traveled the country, got to work with some of the cast of the films.
That's exciting.
So that was really neat, and it was an awesome career. And when it was over, because just like everything, it has its time in the sun. I was excited to move on to something new, and that is where Martha came from.
Oh my
goodness.
Was
wanting something of my own.
Right. And I get that too, because impersonations, they love it, has a little duration, if you will. Or some are universal, you can keep them in, like Barney's always going to be alive.
Of course,
keep him alive because, oh my gosh. But whenever you can create your own character, that hits a nerve.
It is.
And it's exciting because you don't know. It's always a flip of the coin. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work?
Right.
All those things. All right. Now, before we get into the Martha situation, you said that you met some of the cast. Is there one of the actual cast members that you really enjoyed being with or visiting with and learning from?
There were a few of them that I really liked, but if I was going to go with my favorite person that I met or worked with the Twilight Saga, it would definitely be Stephanie Meyer, the author.
Right.
When I got to meet her in Forks, we were there working as the cast. No one knew she was coming.
Oh my.
She came in on a private flight, landed in a small airport there. She showed up, and we got a phone call, and they said, where is the cast right now? And they said, well, we're working this event. And they said, well, we have somebody at the visitor center, and they want you up here. And so we had no idea who we were going to see. It was just we had been pulled to this event, and they opened the door, and there is the person that created the entire thing.
Best day
and that was incredible. And she was so excited. You could see the excitement in her eyes because she was interacting with her characters.
Right.
On a movie set and everything, those actors, they're portraying those characters. And when they call cut, it's over.
It's over.
But when she was there, it was very much a Disney kind of event where you were actually getting to interact with these characters and fans got to meet them and interact.
Fun.
So she was having a lot of fun with that. Even when we were together, she called her husband on the phone and she goes, I'm getting to hang out. And she was just like a kid in a candy store, super excited. And I think that really made me see what what we were doing was doing for other people, including the person that created the whole thing in the first place.
Well, we're going to get back after this message, but we have so much to learn from you, and of course with that, and as well with Martha. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back after this. Now that's exciting, Josh, to have those people there to meet the cast. That's wonderful.
Hello folks, my name's Jason Richardson. I'm the lead guitar player for Kelly's Country Junction, and I'm here to tell you about MJT guitars made in Carthage, Missouri. If you would like a custom-made vintage-style guitar, then you need to talk to Mark Jenny. He'll help you out with the style, feel, and sound you are looking for. They specialize in custom-made finishes and are priced affordable, made with you in mind for the perfect sound and fit. MJT Guitars, made for the working man.
We are back with the amazing Josh Goof. I'm so thrilled to be hosting the show today with this man because our paths have crossed. We've watched each other grow up. We're doing the same. It's just an exciting time.
Yeah.
Now, when we were last on, we were talking about, of course, the success of Twilight and what you did with that. But also something inside you said, okay, it's run its course. I want to do something other than I want my own character. What do I do?
Well, it's, like I always said, and this is one of those old Southern sayings, but when the party's over, it's time to pay the fiddler. And I knew that Twilight had an expiration date. And that doesn't mean that there won't always be fans of the saga. But it does mean that there's a time to move on with your career. And that is what had came up. I had spent all this time playing one character that was written for me. And fans did not like it if you got away from the books or the films in any way. So creative license was limited. So after that is when I came up with Martha.
Okay, now Martha. Now, for those of you who don't know who Martha is, tell us who she is, but how she came to be.
Well, Martha Betterfield was based on several of my grandmas and aunts. When I grew up with them, and I always say that Southerners have a certain type of humor. It's very much these aunts and grandmas, they didn't ever intend to be funny in some of the things that they did. In fact, they were quite serious.
Oh, yes.
But it was always funny, and I think that gave me a lifetime of stock material to work off of. And that was really unique. I think that I took the personalities from multiple of those relatives, but what was unique about it is when I was young, my dad's grandmother moved to Oklahoma from Georgia. She was from around Waynesboro, Georgia.
Okay.
And so when she came into my life, I was raised with that Ozarks Southern culture, which is a lot different than Georgia Southern culture. And so I remember when she came, she would say, come over here and give me some sugar. And it was always, it wasn't the floor, it was the flower. And she just made everything seem so moonlight and magnolias. And people don't really talk that way anymore even.
Right.
So I knew that if I took all these elements from these grandmas, these aunts, and then my grandma from Georgia and put that together, I knew it would be something. I wanted people when they watched the movies or when they saw her in something to say, I know someone just like her. I've seen that. And that's the thing, is relating to your audience. And I think Martha gave me the opportunity to relate to my audience.
And she has evolved just like, I do Grandma Beulah.
Right.
And she's like your character. My Grandma Beulah is a combination of my dad's mother, that'd be Jewel Irene, my mom's mother, which would be Mary Lucille, and then my step-grandmother, Wilma Lola, all right? And so I took little attributes of them and even a few other people that you hear things or see things, you're like, oh, I could use that. That would fit that character quite well. And so it's very exciting to kind of piece it together. But over the years, they've modified, they've changed, and they've become more solid. And I know as I've watched you do Martha, it starts out a certain way, but you have brought her so much further now because you're more comfortable in that character.
Right.
How would she actually walk? Well, I wasn't walking the right way. You learn things like that.
Right.
And what I love about what we do is the instantaneousness of that character. It's like, well, do some grandma. Well, sure, I do grandma. Where's that Kelly James at? It becomes second nature.
Right.
And
it's all about attention to detail.
Yes.
I think one thing that I learned, and you're going to laugh at this because you probably never knew this. When I first started playing Martha, she was meant to be very temporary. In fact, I was just doing her as it was a little talent show that they were having at the college I was going to at the time. And they had called me and they asked, can you come in and keep the guests entertained while these acts are getting ready? Just do some different things. So I did all kinds of things. At that time, Justin Bieber was really big. So I played Justin Bieber. I lip sync and got a girl on stage and, danced around her and lip sync and everything. It was great. Then that was also the first time that Martha debuted. And when she hit the stage, she was nothing like what you see now. This collected Southern belle that she is now, not even close. My actual first inspiration, because she was just going to be a throwaway, but I had watched you do Ada Mae.
Okay.
And so I made her very homely. She had a monobrow. She had a big mole right here. The wig was not kept. It was just bushy and, all over the place. And that was how she started. Was just, like I said, it was a throwaway character, but it was something I had watched you do, and I thought, this will be something different.
Right.
But then she took on her own personality, and that changed, it shifted, and I took what I had learned from my family and made her into this, she's really a work of art. Now, you know how that is.
Yes.
They become your baby.
Yeah.
It's all about all the attention to detail, making sure she's relatable, making sure her voice sounds just right. She has to have that southern lilt,
Exactly.
And I love that about her.
Now, whenever we started this segment of our show, we were showing you guys some posters of a couple major films you've done
Right.
with Martha.
Right.
And if you look at those posters and you think, well, look at the attention to detail, because she is refined. The makeup, the hair, the nails, everything, even like the rings, everything that you do
Right.
is attention.
Well, the thing is, when people watch the film, and I always hated the word drag. And the reason why is because Martha is not a man dressed as a woman. I never wanted that to be the obvious humor.
Right.
It's funny because, a man is pulling off a female character that well.
Right.
But it's not supposed to be like, oh, ha, 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 another man in a dress,
Well, we both grew up with Branson, and we had that
Right.
vision of Branson, and many of the comedians there would do drag, and that's exactly what it was.
Right.
Because that was where the humor lay within that. And I think you were like me. I saw that, and I laughed at it, but I thought, no, I want to pull that off. I want it to be the real thing. Where I go,
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
it's-
it takes it, to me, it's the next level up.
Well, one time we were shooting, and when we would be shooting on set, I was infamous for having to leave the set and go to Walmart or run to the bank or something. And I always found that it was easier because you'd have to come back and start shooting again to just stay in the hair and makeup. So when I would go, I just wouldn't break character. I would stay completely in character during my shopping and everything else. And one time I went to a bank, and my dad ended up being in the bank.
Oh,
and
my
he
gosh.
goes, Josh, what are you all doing? And the bank teller about clutched her pearls and fell backward over the desk. And the first thing she said to me once she collected herself and realized I was a man, she said, I thought you were awfully tall, but you were just so beautiful. I didn't think anything about it.
There you
I
go.
think that was a compliment. I think it
is.
was a compliment
It
to
is
this
a
day,
compliment, yeah.
somewhere in
Well,
there.
and that's it. You want to be able to pull that off, because I remember when I first started doing Joan, same thing. People would call the theater I was at, and they say, okay, we've had a fight. Now, I say that was a woman. My wife says it was a man. What was it? And it's exciting
funny.
because you've done your job as an actor.
Right.
And again, it's not the drag thing. It is like, I'm trying to be that person. And if
Right.
you've done that, you've done your job.
You have.
Good,
And I think
good.
one neat thing, and it's something to talk about with both of us being here today, when we did the films, since you had taught me a lot, because you did, in my formative stages of that character, even though I wanted to make sure she was her own, because you never want to be a complete and total duplicate of someone else.
Right.
But you taught me about wearing dancer's tights to cover up the legs and
Exactly.
everything else, and I learned a lot from you. And then when we did those films, I was able to cast you as Grandma.
Right.
And not only that, we built a relationship between those two characters where they're best friends. And that's really neat to see on screen, to see a mentor and their protege working together as
Absolutely,
co-stars.
yeah.
That is awesome. I love that.
And I was honored because, again, I've watched you evolve and change. We've always been friends, which is wonderful. And that could change. But no.
At a moment's notice.
Just like that, because it is Grandma coming through. But for me to be asked to be a part of one of your productions, because I knew the standard, how high the bar was, and what you expect.
Right.
And that's also fun, too, because I've seen your level, and we have done that, and now we've gone even above and even above that.
And that's always the goal, is to always get
It
better.
has to be.
I always like to have a very consistent brand for myself. I want, when people think of the Old South and things like that, I like for them to think of Martha. And,
Right.
and that is a very specific art, to be able to build it where when you create something, people expect that quality.
Right.
They expect that level of professionalism. And I'm so blessed to feel like after all these years of hard work,
Yeah.
we finally found that.
Right.
You know.
And the good thing about us being in Branson, and now that you are getting more and more exposure, because you're still relatively new to
Mm-hmm. right.
Branson.
Only about 2 years now.
2 years, yeah. I've been there for 40 years.
Yeah.
And now whenever they see me, because I'm like you, I stay in character. I go to gigs that I get
Mm-hmm.
where I'm in costume. But Grandma, she'll be driving. I've got that little hump over there, and I got the hair up, all that type of thing. Or Joan, hello. hello, darlings, hello. And she's got the sunglasses on, they expect that. Now, I'm excited like you are because I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Branson, we're going to have a brand new restaurant in Branson, Missouri at the Branson Landing.
Yes.
And, of course, go ahead and tell them
So excited about it. It's Paula Dean's Family Kitchen.
Now, we both love Paula Dean because she's a character
do.
in herself. She's also like a Southern type of person. She's a great cook. She's very funny, very entertaining. We have an association because she was doing a book signing in Branson.
Yes.
That you went to not as Josh, but as
Martha.
How exciting was that? And now, was she thrilled?
Well, see, this is the awesome thing about Paula Dean to begin with, is because Martha's look was slightly based off of her. When they were designing her fat suit and everything and creating her look, I said, Paula Dean is that epitome of a Southern woman, you know. And so I loosely based that off. So seeing her in person alone was incredible, you know. So when I walk up to Paula, I'm dressed as Martha head to toe, completely in character. And of course, I clutch my pearls and I go, "Oh, my stars, it's Paula Dean," you know. And she, of course, you know, her eyes just go boom, right off the bat. That's not the average reaction, you know. So I walk up to her and I'm just fawning over it, fanning myself at the table next to her. And I said, ever since I've been around, I said, folks have always been telling me you and Paula Dean could be sisters. You almost look identical. And I said, looking at you up close, darling, I believe every word of it.
How
and her security guards are laughing so hard, they're like not even paying attention to the situation. They were doing their job real well that day.
Thanks a lot, boys.
And Paula just loved it. And I think the reason why is because these stars, they're so used to always entertaining other people. Right. And for once, she got to be the one being entertained.
And the great thing is you planted a seed right then and there, because whenever she has her opening, write this down, whenever they have the opening, Martha and Grandma Beulah will be there.
Will be there.
And of course, she's going to look at you. She'll do the double take. She's going to remember what she did that one day. And so that to me is exciting because we're going to take it to that level. We will be, professionals, and we're not men in drag. We're going to be those characters with the real Paula Dean.
And if they don't let us in, we'll just plaster our faces to the window and watch.
That's right. Because Grandma will moon him. She sure will. Speaking of mooning, we got to get out of here, but we're going to be back. Trust me that. We're going to do a commercial break, and we'll be back. Oh, how fun.
It's so fun.
I can't wait.
I know. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We'll be arrested.
Yes.
I'm Tom Carter with Ozarks Public Television, inviting you to watch Ozarks Watch Video Magazine. Now, don't confuse me with Kelly James and his program, Spotlight on the Ozarks. We look nothing alike. We are no way alike. But let me invite you to watch Ozarks Watch Video Magazine now in our 20th season. You can watch it on Ozarks Public Television Sundays at 1:30 and 2, and Thursdays at 9 and 9:30. That's on Ozarks Public Television. Or visit our website. You can see any of the episodes anytime at www.optv.org.
Hi, I'm Terry Wayne Sanders, inviting you to join me and Kelly James Barker on Spotlight on the Ozarks right here. We have a lot of fun. You're going to get some scoop on the Ozarks, things you never heard of before, and stories you can tell your grandkids. That's right. Join us right here on Spotlight on the Ozarks.
Clean, safe room. A safe room. Yes, free from bodily harm, from long, menacing hands and long, sharp fingernails. Oh, a very safe room, with extra security, like maybe a German Shepherd.
With big, sharp teeth.
Yes.
That can cut through 2 pairs of pants.
Huh? The floor?
Nah.
It's dirty.
No.
Bugs? Bugs?
Warmer.
Cockroach?
No.
Ticks? No. Ant.
Sounds like.
Pants. Sound like pants, like a dog pants.
Oh, victory in Jesus.
Victory? Victor's pants! Victor's pants! And Victor's pants, they're very nice. Oh, is that tweed? Oh my goodness, did your mother make them? Oh, she must be very special. Is she still living?
Or in the basement.
Or pushing up daisies in the garden.
Planting planting daisies in the garden.
Right, or planted like 6 foot under with the others.
I loved what we did with the Halloween special.
It was a lot of fun.
A true cliffhanger, something new for us and new for Facebook.
Right.
Because every week they were like, oh no, what's going to happen? I can't wait till the next one.
Right.
And here's the next one right now. We are so excited. We're going to do a Christmas special.
We are. It's going to be a new movie. It's going to be called Martha Betterfield's A Christmas Carol, and it's going to be a Southern twist on a Christmas classic.
Perfect. And of course, Martha, star of it, of course.
Uh-huh.
Great lady right there. Grandma Beulah, is she going to be in it? Why, of course she is. Oh, she'll be very ghostly. But you got to wait. Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have Grandma in there, a lot of other familiar faces from our films.
Okay.
But what's going to be unique about this event, and you and I are both excited about this, it's going to be our first ever hybrid event.
Now, hybrid meaning what? What do you mean by that?
It's going to start off like all of our other films. We're going to do a big silver screen premiere.
At a theater in Branson.
Yes.
Out there with the red carpet.
Yes,
everything.
all the stars, all the glitz and glam of Branson. We're going to bring back those good old days
There
of
you
Branson.
go. And we're going to watch the movie in its entirety.
Yes. So if you go to that event, this is going to be the one and only chance to see that movie from beginning to end before Christmas with no stops in between.
With
So
all
no
the stars
cliffhangers.
there,
You
right,
get all of it,
the whole
just
thing.
like Netflix. You can just turn it on and binge watch it.
We're there. Perfect. Loving it.
So we're going to do that first.
Right.
Then a couple of weeks after that film premieres to that great audience, which will be sold out, you know.
Of course it
so you
will
want to
be.
get those tickets quick when they
Seriously,
go on
yeah.
sale.
Yeah. So watch the media, social media.
Yes. And so after that, we're going to start releasing them on Facebook, just like we did Night of Fright. Very similar format. One day a week, we're going to release each installment of the film, and you'll get them one by one. But again, you don't get them all together like you'll get at that premiere.
And this production, as we've talked about already, our bar is set right here. And we know
Yes.
that every time we do anything, it has to be a little bit better, and
Right.
exciting. And of course, with A Christmas Carol, which is a classic, to have our spin on that with our characters that can really put a twist on things, like Grandma did with Kelly's head and yeah, bad. Anyway, I'm
There's some
really excited.
big shoes to fill with this, you know,
Yes.
because people know and respect this. This is a Christmas classic. So, of course, we plan on doing it justice.
Absolutely.
We're really excited. And it adds a lot of elements that we haven't had in other films. There's ghosts, you know, so there's going to be some fun special effects.
Special effects
and-
right there.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in to, of course, Spotlight on the Ozarks with me, your co-host, filling in for Kelly James Barker. And our guest today was Mr.
Josh Goff.
There
Thank
you
you
go.
all so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we'll be back because I know we're Kelly Parks, and sometimes, you know, it just won't start. Thanks so much. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
So anyway, so with the element of the Christmas Carol, I think what we should do is just be buck naked and...